Hi everyone, it's Monica and welcome to 12 weeks of Christmas. Boy, it has been a long haul, but we are on our last video. And today's video is going to be about using our stash. As I started to clean up some of my Christmas crafting, straightening up the craft room, I found some of these stickers and some of these dies that I've used in prior videos. So I decided rather than put them away, why don't I go ahead and use up my stash and create a few more last minute Christmas cards. I am not a tidy crafter, and I know many of you probably suffer from the same ailment. A lot of times when I'm crafting, I'll have a lot of my stash around me, and as I create, I just tend to pile and pile. And that's how it ended up this Christmas. I had lots of Christmas items all around my desk, and at some point I knew I had to finally pack it up and put it away. So as I started packing up some of my Christmas stuff, I saw that some of my candy stickers were still available. And I thought, why pack those up when I can use those for another card? So I had the idea of creating kind of like a candy shop window. So I made my prototype as I typically do. And then I decided to go ahead and make a few more cards, kind of using the same design, but not exactly the same way. So I took a couple of my dies and I cut them out, and the frame is actually a stitch die, and then I put a smaller stitch die in the middle to create the frame. And then I just tore some paper to create the shelves. And then I just kind of eyeballed the spacing. I knew that I needed to stick my candy on the shelves. So I just kind of added some glue to go ahead and add my strips of paper for my shelves, and then I was ready to go ahead and add it directly onto my black cardstock. Alright, so after I had the torn paper glued onto my frame, then I found this really thin black washi tape that was still on my desk from some of my holiday makes. So I decided to go ahead and use it as some decorative trim on the side of the frame. So I just peeled it off and folded it over, just really easy, just to add a little bit of decorative interest. And then once I had added the washi tape, I was ready to go ahead and glue down my frame onto my black cardstock. And then once I had the shelves in place, it was just a matter of adding all of my stickers. So I really didn't want to have to put any of these stickers away. So my goal was to try to use all of the stickers onto my candy shelf. So as you can see here, I'm just gluing on the shelf, and then I'm going to go ahead and grab the candy and add them to my torn paper shelves. Now on my first prototype, I was really specific about making sure that my candy was lined up on my shelves and everything was straight. But for this particular one, like I said, I was just trying to use up my stash. So I wasn't overly concerned about it looking like it was exactly perfect on a shelf. I just wanted to go ahead and use up some of my stickers so I did not have to put them away. Plus, it was a good way to make a couple of extra Christmas cards rather than pulling out all of the cards that I had already put away. I don't know about you, but as I create Christmas cards all season long, a lot of my creativity at the end just kind of tapers out. I've been creating cards for the last 12 weeks, and actually before then, and at this point I'm just kind of burnt out of Christmas cards, so I'm just trying to finish up the last of them, put away my stash, and get ready for the new year. But I certainly want to make a cute Christmas card because these are going to go out to family and friends. So I'm just kind of taking care to make sure that it does line up nicely, and ultimately it is a nice candy Christmas card. And then once I have all of my little candy stickers on my shelves, then I'm going to go ahead and put a banner on the top, and I will put the word candy across the banner just to make it look like a little candy store, and then my card will be complete. Just a really easy card to put together using some of my stash and making sure that my cute little candy stickers don't go to waste. And then once I get all of the banners on all three of my cards, I'm going to bring in some cute little letters to spell out the word candy. So it just will look like a little candy shop looking inside of a window. All right, so I'm just going to just dress up the banner here and I'll add it to the top and then we'll move on to the second card. Now for the second card, you're going to see the same similar banner because again, I'm just using up some of my stash, some of the dies that I've already had cut up. But then I went ahead and I saw that I had some of these extra white windows cut out. And you might recall that I used these on my white on white card earlier in my 12 Days of Christmas series. So I went ahead and I just pulled those out and I decided to go ahead and to create another window card, but this time I wanted to use some of my pre-printed Tim Holtz paper. So again, I just pulled out that stitch die and I cut out the rectangle and then I put the smaller rectangle in the middle to create the frame. And then I'm going to just go ahead and glue it right onto some pre-printed cardstock. And you might recall this Tim Holtz cardstock. This is really, really old cardstock I've had in my stash forever. And when I was putting away all of my Christmas paper, I saw this and I thought, you know, it's about time I probably use this paper. So let's go ahead and create another Christmas window, because with all the little images, it kind of looked like a toy store in the background. So I went ahead and I glued down the frame, and then as I was cleaning up my desk, I found these little trees that I had also used in my 12 Days of Christmas. So I went ahead and I just glued a tree right onto the paper, and then I added the white window right on top of that. And then I added some glue to that piece to add it to some of my cardstock that, again, I just had hanging around on my desk to create the background. At this point, I'm just using up my stash. Like I said, just anything I have laying around and making sure that it matches. I didn't pull out any new cardstock to create these cards. A lot of this was just things that I had laying around from my prior videos, and it just made it easier to be able to just use it rather than put it away. So here again, I'm just adding my glue to the window, and I'm going to go ahead and put it right over the frame, and then I will finish this one up by adding the banner once again. And then again, once I add the banner, that'll finish the second card. All right, now so for the third card, I wanted to do something a little different. I still wanted to go ahead and kind of keep with the same theme, using sort of a window view, but I wanted to find some little toys rather than candy. So when I was kind of looking through my stash, I really didn't find anything that was sized appropriately. So of course, as a vintage inspired designer, I went ahead and brought up Photoshop, and I kind of searched through some of my images and I created my own little background of toys. And I had to fuss with it just a few times because, of course, I wanted it to look like they were on shelves through the window. So I had to make sure that they were lined up correctly, and of course that they were sized correctly, because those little window boxes aren't very big. So again, I just kind of fussed with it a few times in my Photoshop till I got the exact look that I wanted. And then once I was happy, I went ahead and I printed out a few. And this is just something that I created real quick because I kind of had an idea in my brain what I wanted to do. I just didn't necessarily have the ephemera to do it. So I went ahead and I created my own. This is one of the fun things about Photoshop and about working with digital images is you can pretty much create anything that you need to create. A lot of times when we're looking through our stash, we don't quite have what we need, or perhaps it's just not in our budget to go out and buy some new ephemera or new paper supplies. So it's always fun to be able to kind of envision what you want and then just kind of create it in whatever design software that you might have. I use Photoshop a lot, so it's really easy for me to manipulate some of my images, and that's exactly what I did for this in creating my toy background. So again, I'm just working with this die that I had, and it was part of my stash. As you recall, I mentioned earlier that I had used this particular window die in some of my Christmas cards that I shared earlier on in the month, and I'm just using up my stash. So I glued it down, and now I'm just kind of trimming around it to be able to kind of match the window design. And then once I have the window cut out, I'm just going to glue it directly onto some cardstock. And again, this is cardstock I just happen to have lying on my desk. I didn't pull out any new Christmas cardstock or any new cardstock that I hadn't dug into yet. These are all scraps that have been laying around my craft room. So as I was cleaning up my craft room, I just kind of piled some of these together, knowing I would put together just a quick video using all of my scraps. And sometimes that's fun, right? I mean, when we go to clean up our craft room, rather than putting it away, it's always fun to just kind of sit down and use what you have. It's kind of tests your creativity, because you may not necessarily think that some of these pieces go together, but once you kind of start playing a little bit, you can see you can put together some really fun cards just by using what is around the craft room. Okay, so now we have all of our card tops, and now we're going to go ahead and add some little letters to our shops. And we have a candy shop here, and we have a toy shop. So I'm just using some of my small dies, which is one of the Tim Holtz letter die sets. And I'm just going to cut out some of these small letters to add to my shops. Now to glue them down, I'm just using some of my collage medium. So I just took my paintbrush and I brushed it over the top of my banner. And then this way, my letters will have something to stick to. And then once I have my letters stuck down onto my banners, then again, I'm going to add the collage medium right over that just to make sure they stick. So as I finish up my cards here, I want to remind you that this is the last video in my 12 Days of Christmas series, and I hope that you've enjoyed following along with all of my creations. I've also had that advent calendar over on my website where I've been offering freebies, and of course, if you saw the 11th week of Christmas, you saw that in order to download your digital kit, you needed to be a Patreon. So if you're not a Patreon, feel free to go ahead and enjoy the all 10 days of Christmas, which were free for you. And then I would love for you to consider becoming a Patreon. And as an extra bonus, you will get the kits for week 11 and week 12, and those are going to be complete kits, not just one digital, so it'll be definitely worth your while. I have shared with you some of my Patreon subscriptions. I have my my crafty subscription, which is a $5 subscription, and that will get you a digital kit of the month each month, along with some other perks. So that is probably a really good and affordable deal, and then you can look forward to a kit every month. So be sure to check it out. When you click on the download, you're going to get taken to the subscription page, and from there you can decide which subscription would work best for you. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up with some Christmas music, and I hope that you all have a really wonderful Christmas, and I sure appreciate you playing along with me over the last 12 weeks where we've created some wonderful Christmas cards, and of course enjoyed my advent calendar and unwrapping each week. All right, everybody, thanks so much for stopping by, and happy holidays. And if a subscription just isn't in your budget, I hope that you do consider subscribing to my channel and clicking the thumbs up and enjoying my videos. I plan on continuing my videos in 2023, and I hope to bring you lots of great content.